Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Tuesday. How is everyone doing today? Earnings back on the table. Lots of bank earnings this morning. Lots of beats. Good morning, Sterling. Yes, we had the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Uh, Big pullback. Consensus was 3.8 to 4. Prior was 11.5. Now remember, the prior was only 1 month. If you look here, the little pop-up box, we've been negative for a long time. We had an outlier last month, and now we're back to negative. But that is a big swing. So, I mean, I was actually more surprised last month that we had such a positive reading. But these numbers are all over the place. Uh, that's never happened before. Thanks, Biden, for the worst manufacturing recession in history. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump. You can still trace it back. You can go back 4 years. You can go back a long time. It's still Trump's fault. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Mark. You had Citi reporting, which beat. You had Goldman Sachs reporting, which beat. You had Bank of America, which I think that was a miss. And remember, Buffett's dumping all his Bank of America. J&J coming out. United Healthcare, interesting enough, that has a potential double top. I believe that was that one. I'll have to double check. Of course they are, because they just announced a new iPad mini. Go buy Apple. It's a new iPad mini coming out. I did not know this, Patrick. Deloitte says America's planning to spend 3% less this holiday season. I can see that because what's inflation? And that's you already have the price higher. So if they're spending 3% less, it means it's really dialed back because we're still running over 3% core inflation. Oh boy. So, all right. Schwab extends gains, last stuff 7.8. I did not look at Schwab this morning, but they had earnings also. Hello, Christoph. Haven't seen you in a while. Good morning. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Ted. Good morning, Charles. John. Let me do this again. Good morning, John. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Royal Palms. Yeah, hit the like button. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, plus people hiding in the background. So we already went over Empire State Manufacturing Index. We had Redbook coming out, also still holding up at 5.6%. So Redbook still, a little softer in September, but still bounced back from the ends of September, still holding up. We have consumer inflation expectations coming out in a few hours. 11 a.m. Eastern. We have Daily speaking, yay. We got Kugler and Bostic speaking, more yay. Uh, Other than that, remember, stuff doesn't really kick in until Thursday. Tomorrow is really in the doldrums. So yesterday also, second lowest volume day on the S&P. The only lower one was July 3rd. So we broke to new highs in stuff like the S&P, in the Dow, but on incredibly low volume. Just saying, volume should follow the trend, and we're still getting the trend is up, but volume is not supporting the trend. It's very weak. Now you have energy pulling back based off the reports that Israel's not going to uh, strike oil and gas stuff in Iran. Here you have UNH pulling back. Wow, it's down 7.5. So we'll take a look at that chart. NVIDIA, based off maybe there's going to be controls on chip production going to smaller countries, and everything else is up from your mega caps. Groups, again, energy taking in the short stay. Remember, yesterday it did not close above that 62.5, and now it's closed below my key level, so I'm watching for more consolidation again now. Com service is the only thing slightly positive at 54 basis points. Fed watch still has a one cut, 125 basis point cut in November, right after the election day. We're finally back to full-blown extreme greed mode on very low volume. Schiller PE in nosebleed territory. And remember, it's options expiration this Friday. So keep that in mind, monthly options expiration. We already talked about that. I did not look at Walgreens either, but they're closing more and more stores. That's all we need. Sterling put a lot of the other results in there. After the close today, we have United Airlines, Interactive Brokers, one of my major brokers. And not an endorsement. Do your own research. So those are two. Then tomorrow morning we have ASML, Morgan Stanley, Abbott, U.S. Bank Corp. Those are the biggest biggies tomorrow. Good morning, McRangers. Daily double bottoms also on AMAT and KMB. If we can look at those, we can take a look. What do you make of the Iron Condor trade, Captain? Captain Condor is back today selling 10K of the S 58.85, 58.90 call spread. And then those. That's interesting. That is an interesting, so slightly skewed, expecting some kind of consolidation up here. I don't know. I'd have to look at that further with those exact strikes. I'd have to look at that further. I do not have a specific comment on that trade setup right now. But looking for some consolidation up here now. We're either going to get some consolidation or pullback. Here's what I was talking about yesterday with the volume. Look at this volume. Look at this yesterday. Look at this. This volume is pathetic. And that's the week. Sorry, that was the weekly. Here's the daily. Oh boy, I'm messing everything up. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this volume. Look at on this last push higher. Look how much lower the volume is on this last little push higher than even the push higher back around middle September. Just something that's really jumping out. Doesn't mean the trend's over. Again, doesn't mean the trend's over. It just means, hey, when volume doesn't follow price, just know where your trailing stops are. I mean, we're taking out targets like they're no tomorrow. Like was it Goldman's or JP Morgan's year-end target of 6K? We're almost there. And we haven't even gotten any Santa Claus rally yet. So through the next little cluster, next key area for me, 59.38. 59.38 is the next key target area higher. Key support, your major support is all the way back at 58.20, really. Shorter term, Gonna be watching to see if we do set up a little mini. It's gonna be extended, but little mini. Pay attention to the lows about 5,900. If we start breaking below 5,900, gonna start watching for the minor pullback. It's in the 4-hour rotation zone. This would be a minor pullback, nothing major. Keep in mind also your daily and weekly cycles. There's your weekly at the top. Could be setting up weekly divergences and daily at the top. So we're getting to a potential toppy area right now. Does not mean a top's in place even on a minor pullback. The more significant area in front of about 58.20 I'll be watching is 58.60 on any pullback. There's really not much to talk about as it continues to grind higher. The NASDAQ, yesterday we had the minor harmonics, and these again are the reverse harmonics. We still have the potential little double top in place. Okay, you see stopping right there. Next thing that would invalidate the double top would be above, what number is that? Wrong thing. We're about 20,007. I hate when this, oh well, I'll estimate it. Put it on your own chart. About 20,720. 7.8, 7.16, 7.20 area. That validates. I doubt this will trigger. Your key support now at this point is coming back at about 20,465, 475. The next key target above here that I'm watching on a continued rally, we have a minor area at 2,800, and then we have more significant at 2,900, 20,900. The Dow Again, also breaking higher and pulling back slightly now. So the next target for me is 43.7. 43.70 upside. The key support is coming in about 42.950. Minor support is coming in about 43,000 right now. Russell in a very toppy area again. On any push higher, 22.78 is my target. Support is coming in at 22.51. I am watching for Russell to start putting in a top up here. So the VIX, not much to talk about there. The DAX still finished the double bottom pattern yesterday. Finished the double bottom pattern, then hitting the first harmonic. The double top is potentially still in place unless it trades above 19,817. Right now, the key support level on any pullback is 19.5. But the DAX still in an uptrend too, getting to a topping area. But no top yet. So keep an eye on here. And again, if these triggered, they're going against the weekly rotation zones and they're coming back into support. So they could just merely miss their targets if they trigger because they could land back on key support. Again, remember the S&P, the massive weekly double top, which never triggered, is off the table now. So there is absolutely no fear in the market, but it is wedging higher. So just be prepared to know where your stops are, but until then, it's still trade with the short-term uptrend and the medium-term trend. Notes, looks like it's confirmed a double. Going to be watching to see if it triggers this today for a little bounce play into the rotation zone. This is not a long-term bottom. This could be simply a bounce play against the rotation zone to take it back to a prior breakdown area. It might not, I mean, the first target's major in this one. And then I'm watching for another rollover play to hit this 111.14. The 10-year, this is not a double top in the 10-year. I'm just watching to see how support comes in around back at 4.02. And remember, we have cycles going down again, coming out of very overbought. In the context of this rally, though, you know, anything that sits below this 4 level is still a sideways correction. And just trying to work off the overbought and cycles coming back down. 10-2s, 15 basis points based off the futures. Dollar index, remember the target, 103. We've tapped it a couple times. 103, you see right here. Bam, bam. So little mini topping pattern. Going to be watching how it reacts back at about 102.60 because we have daily cycles rolling down, coming out of overbought with a divergence. Again, anything that really keeps holding above 102 is still, in my book, a sideways correction, not even a pullback correction. So, again, that's what I'm watching. And if we pull into the rotation zone, that just resets the rotation zone. Crude, here's your move back down into the consolidation area. Today, I'm going to be watching to see if we close below 70.22. If we close below 77.22, I'm going to watch for probability-wise for a retest of the low area from the end of September. If we hold above it, what I'm going to be watching is tomorrow, today's high. I don't think everything's hunky-dory in the Middle East. It doesn't matter. I still need a trade setup. The only trade setup would be above today's high unless we form some kind of bottoming pattern before that. But that's what I'll be watching for if we do not close below the 62.5. If we close below the 62.5, I will be patient and watch for a bigger pullback. Or on any pops, watch for potential very quick short opportunities. Gold, not much to talk about here. Pulling back. We're getting cycles back to the top, but gold can remain in an extended consolidation period. and we do not have a double top yet in place after this channel breakout from the channel. So I'm going to be watching if it pushes back above 2687. Still, long term, it's in bullish mode. So far, we're going into a third week of a sideways correction. What else? The yen coming up to the first target area, just slightly missing it. I was watching for 150s. We hit 149.98. That's close enough for a stop raise from my perspective. Keeping an eye on about 148.30 on any pullback, but the yen's getting cycles back to the bottom and working off its overbought conditions. So any pullback into the rotation zone, or if the rotation zone keeps rising and we break out, remember we still have the sloppy descending neckline, inverse head and shoulders. So we still have potentially higher prices to take us back to even the 62.5 harmonic. I'm watching really focused now since we've ticked off that 150 area. I'm focused on about 151.30 to about 152. Euro, again, tapped this first target multiple times. We just have this very mini double here. This very mini double. Just double check. Yeah. You always have to double check. I just didn't want to say anything wrong. So we could see a continued bounce. A continued little bounce here. But looks like this other bigger one's off the table. So just a little mini bounce play with the, weakening dollar. And if it does extend beyond there, your major resistance is about 109.50 before the next potential rollover. Bitcoin closing above the channel, the descending channel yesterday, still not closing above key resistance. Big day in Bitcoin yesterday with a rally, but we got cycles back at the top and still in a longer term consolidation. Now, I'd be watching as long as this does not close back below about 59,000. I'd still be watching for the breakout play higher in the short term now. 59,000 is my key line in the sand to the downside. But here's one of the challenges. It's trying to build a higher base. It's still stuck at this stopping point, and then we have another stopping point around 68.3. Then we have another stopping point about 71. So if you're trying to play this, do not just go into super bull mode yet. You have a lot of potential stopping points for at least raising stops. Ethereum still, unless Ethereum closes above 2820, we still have the bearish pattern in place. Spiders hitting the next harmonic yesterday. We need so we can now go. Remember, we had this. We talked about harmonics yesterday, by the way. This double top's way off the table. So here's an example. We've hit all the little short-term harmonics. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the more of this one, and we're going to shift it from reverse to a forward and see where that takes the next key levels. The next level would be 590.82. We already started talking about that. Why this level? Because this is a pausing bar. You see this made a high, and then the following bars did not touch that high. So those are the two most recent. I already pulled off the other one, but that's the next thing. So 590.82 on a continued rally. That's how I'd use that harmonic area for right now. Qs, the potential mini double off the table. Yesterday closing at the next harmonic and taking that double off the table. So what's the next targets higher in the Qs? The next key target for me is roughly 5, and then we have 503. Now this one for a break higher, this is again where I'd use, if the Qs keep marching higher, going into tech earnings, that's where I'd use this reverse harmonic to give my target. So if your Qs break out to new highs, not today, but over the next weeks, over the next couple of weeks, it'd be 513.50 and 523.50. You say there's a cup and handle on the weekly Bitcoin. That is a valid cup and handle. Yes, it is. Good eyes, dark screen sleep. There you go. Yes, that is. All right, what else do we have? I know there's some other things mentioned. AMAT. AMAT. Daily double bottoms also an AMAT. Yeah, that's actually also a weekly double bottom. That is, and it is completely valid on the weekly basis for the first and second targets. So that's a valid one to watch. And it is completely valid on the daily too. So that's very valid. Thank you. It is confirmed. It is not officially triggered yet. It is confirmed. So you can watch for that if you're interested in AMAT. Again, not a trade recommendation. KMB. Looks like that is completely valid too. Yep, completely valid. Confirmed. Watch. And yes, this is triggered. This is triggered on the daily basis. I just want to see what this looks like on the weekly. Yep. And you look at the holding the weekly rotation zone. So there's another one. Weekly cycles going up. Thank you, Christoph. Daily cycles at the top, so you might see a little pause here. So you have to know what the invalidation point of this is since it is triggered. The invalidation point, if I can draw it correctly, the invalidation point is 140.41 on a closing basis. But that's another one that is officially triggered. Just something else to keep an eye on, UNH on a weekly basis. And I recommend if you're learning to chart and do technical analysis on stocks, start with the weekly. Always start with the weekly and then dial down to the daily. So UNH, they have earnings. You see the big gap down. So this will confirm this double top. But I'd wait for it to close on this week. And if it closes below 566, and that would be triggered on a weekly basis and out of the way of the rotation zone. So we could easily see it. So we'll look at the weekly where it returns to the 50% harmonic. That's why I put this up. So keep that in mind. Because on the daily, it really triple topped. But that's why I need the weekly trigger. So even if it's confirmed on any bounce plays, I'd be looking for rollovers to see if this does trigger on a weekly. But there's another one. So we looked at two double bottoms and probably a confirmed but not yet triggered double top for UNH. So would I be overly aggressive if I was a UNH bull? No, I'd be waiting for something to come back and find some key support in a bullish pattern before I got aggressive with UNH. Remember, that doesn't mean you have to short these or put on puts or put spreads or anything else. It means, look, I'd be waiting. I wouldn't be backing up the truck. Hey, we're gapping down. Let's back up the truck and buy UNH. Is TTWO a double bottom? I have no idea, Sterling. I have no idea. I don't have any thoughts on that. TTWO. Is it a 4-hour? Yeah, that was a triggered double bottom so far. Let's just verify again with yes. So the upside on any pullbacks, I'd be looking at 158.70, 160.61. Now let's see how that comes in line with the retracement harmonics. And look at this. In the real short term, this would be the official stop raise, but from anything else, you're going to get more follow through. Your still key level resistance is 156.88. So where you can use multiple areas of inputs. So that does not change the double targets. But I'd be watching for a follow through close above 156.88 because that would also trigger your probability shift on your harmonics. And look where the second target of the double is. If I go to the aggressive targets too, look at this. Look at that. I mean, it does not mean the probabilities have shifted because it's so pretty. It is nice though to look at. Look at this. The 62.5 is right there at the 25% extension from the double bottom on the aggressive side. 75 is the first stop. You have the 75 harmonic and the stop reduction target. See right here, you have the first target for the double. We overlay the harmonics, the 75%. Then you got the 87.5 with the second target. And then the third target is at the all-time high. Or the most, not the all-time high, but the most recent high. Sorry for misspeaking there. Does that magically make the probabilities different because it's so beautiful? No. But there is some underlying order in the chaos of the market that does line up more often than not. So don't just go because it's a beauty. Now you have probabilities that this should continue higher. What are the invalidation points though? Because you always have to know that. Where does a pattern? Because no pattern is 100%. So what are the invalidation points? The technical invalidation point on a closing basis for this 4 hours would be a 4-hour close below 149.81 or a 4-hour trade through 148.82. Other than that, could still see some higher prices. Keep in mind, I want to point out one thing with cycles at the top. This thing can easily, you can see these things trigger. It's also triggered on a daily basis. This is a daily. It's also triggered there. You could easily still see a pullback into rotation zone. And remember, I watch for stuff coming back to between the peak and the candle bodies, reinforced by this candle body. So my major support level on ID pullback is 153.71. There you go, Daniel. That's how the breakdown analysis works on that. All right, going into the open, what do we have? Little support shelf right here, 59.10. Let's see where the tick was. Not a strong opening at all. That is a pretty weak tick opening. So if we do break below this 59.10, I'd be watching for the major support coming in about 59.06. Trading against key resistance. If it starts getting a break at about 59.14 with an improving tick, then I'd be watching for a retest of the highs from yesterday, at least. And then the levels from above, we already outlined. Okay, so that's where we sit. Hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful trading day. And I shall talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.